The immortal provisions that were rushing through the air all suddenly trembled the moment the kirin appeared, as if they had encountered a natural enemy. They emitted sharp cries laced with a trembling sound, showing no hesitation as they immediately reversed direction and tried to flee. It wasn't just the immortal provisions in the sky. Even the cultivators on the ground began to tremble, as if enduring immense pain. The azure marks on their foreheads appeared and rapidly gathered into a single point, condensing tightly. Just as the immortal provisions attempted to escape, the kirin released an invisible force from between its nostrils and roared upwards. The roar seemed to contain a strange power, causing all nearby immortal provisions to shudder, and they no longer dared to flee. With a stomp of its 4 feet, the kirin appeared beside the immortal provisions in midair. With a swift inhale, all of them were drawn into its mouth, transforming into a nourishing energy for the immortal beast. The scene left the small elder dumbfounded. The kirin licked its lips with its tongue, its massive head swinging towards the cultivators on the ground, eyeing the azure marks on their foreheads, clearly still hungry. The small elder's face darkened as he quickly retrieved an item from his storage pouch. It was a calligraphy brush, shimmering with crystal clarity, though its bristles were white, as if it had never been dipped in ink. The moment this brush appeared, a sense of authority emanated from it. Even the kirin, seeing this, couldn't help but show a hint of surprise in its eyes. The elder glared fiercely at Wang Lin, shouting, "Wang Lin, you recognize the immortal provisions, but do you recognize the object in my hand?" Wang Lin's gaze hardened, but he remained silent. Instead, he slapped his storage pouch, and the divine shooting car appeared, landing beside him. The car, having been passed down for generations, no longer had the flaw of slow activation that it once did. You probably don't recognize this item, but let me tell you. This is something I carried with me when I was in the immortal realm. It was used to enlighten lower realm cultivators, the small elder boomed. I've shown you mercy because your cultivation is hard-earned. Now, get out of my way immediately. If you don't leave soon, I'll have no choice but to act. Wang Lin looked at the elder and said slowly, "There's no need for you to keep telling me to leave. I've already figured it out. Though you claim to be at the mid-stage of ascension, you, like those immortal guards, lack primordial power." The small elder's greatest secret had been exposed with just one sentence. Enraged, he waved the calligraphy brush forward, spitting blood from his mouth. As the brush tip made a swift stroke, a symbol appeared in the air. As soon as the symbol materialized, an overwhelming force erupted from it. Wang Lin's eyes, for the first time, showed a hint of surprise. But that surprise quickly turned into intense heat. He locked his gaze on the symbol, then shifted his eyes to the calligraphy brush. The excitement in his eyes was immediately replaced with an incredible joy. This symbol was no stranger to Wang Lin. It was exactly the same as the one he had encountered on the road of the resplendent dragon outside the immortal mansion. He had studied this symbol many times. When drawn, it had no divine abilities, and he had never been able to replicate the stunning effect he achieved when combining the 4 strokes. This had always been a regret in his heart. But now, seeing this symbol drawn by the small elder, though it was only 1 stroke, it was real and imbued with immense power. Wang Lin's gaze caused the small elder's heart to tremble. That look was familiar to him, the same one the kirin had when it first saw the immortal provisions the elder had thrown out. At that moment, a fighting spirit surged within Wang Lin, one he had never felt since stepping into this place. He pointed to the divine shooting car and shouted, "Thunder Beast." Suddenly, a rumbling thunder echoed from the sky, and bolts of lightning rained down, striking the divine shooting car. At the same time, a thunder beast, with silver horns and a body like that of a kirin, materialized from the lightning. As soon as it appeared, the thunder beast let out a mighty roar, charging into the clouds. It triggered a furious storm of heavenly thunder, and the entire sky was instantly filled with lightning. At this moment, the kirin also roared, though its voice wasn't as powerful as the thunder beast's. However, its roar was still formidable, shaking the azure marks on the cultivators' foreheads, causing them to explode from their bodies, turning into strands of azure threads that were swallowed by the kirin. Meanwhile, the symbol drawn by the calligraphy brush began to flicker and shot straight towards Wang Lin. In that instant, The thunder beast growled and took a step forward. Lightning descended from the heavens, forming an awe-inspiring scene akin to a storm of electric rain. A barrage of thunder and lightning struck the symbol. Though the symbol's power was immense, the small elder seemed to only know how to draw it with a single stroke, unable to unleash its true potential. The symbol gradually began to crack under the unrelenting barrage of lightning. The small elder froze for a moment, then trembled. Terrified, he turned and fled without a word. For the hundreds of years since his fortuitous encounter, he had lived arrogantly, using immortal provisions to control countless cultivators. However, he was cautious, even to the point of being cowardly. He never dared provoke cultivators above the Ascendant Realm or demon marshals. His cowardice was innate. Although his strength had reached the peak of the late infant metamorphosis stage long ago, he lacked the courage to break through to the Ascendant Realm. He was afraid of death. However, once the number of his immortal guards reached 10, his caution gradually faded. He began to act more recklessly, frequently capturing cultivators and forcing them to merge with shattered jade, hoping to cultivate more experts at the immortal guard level. Damn it, who exactly is Wang Lin? How is he so strong? Damn it, if I survive this, I'll kill that cultivator who sent Wang Lin's information back from ancient Demon City. The short old man cursed wildly in his heart as he fled. Wang Lin's eyes burned with intense heat. Even if it cost him all his immortal power, he couldn't let this short, old man escape. His eyes were bloodshot, not from bloodlust, but because the magical treasures on the old man had triggered something within him. In Wang Lin's eyes, this old man was nothing less than a walking treasure vault. Wang Lin was puzzled. With such powerful treasures on him, why had no one tried to rob him over the years? What Wang Lin didn't know was that the old man had been cautious and timid until the recent few decades. He had once only targeted lone disciples from small sects, but recently, he had dared to act against larger sections. Capturing Blue Faction disciples from Tianyun sect had been one of his boldest moves. Although the old man was at the mid-ascendant realm, his cultivation had been enhanced through special methods. Against weaker ascendant early realm cultivators, he could still fight, but facing someone like Wang Lin, who could challenge true mid-ascendant cultivators, he was utterly insignificant. Moreover, although his magical treasures were strong, the old man could barely use them. He only had a rudimentary understanding of them, and their power could only be exerted at 1% of their true potential. As the old man fled, he felt as though he was back in the days before his fortuitous encounter, when he was just a late infant metamorphosis cultivator being hunted by powerful enemies. He cursed Wang Lin with hatred in his heart, but just then, a streak of black light shot toward him. The old man quickly took out a calligraphy brush and drew runes to block Wang Lin's divine abilities. Then, with a stomp of his right foot, his entire body erupted in a blaze of fire. The fire quickly extinguished, and the old man's figure vanished. Wang Lin's eyes flared redder, and although the old man was weak in other areas, his escape techniques were endless. In less than half an hour, the old man had used over 10 divine abilities that left Wang Lin stunned. Now, it was the 11th, a completely different escape technique. Wang Lin sneered and swiftly moved, using his divine sense to sweep the area. He immediately detected the old man's presence 30,000 miles away. The old man's fire dissipated, and he was flying swiftly. Suddenly, his face turned bitter as he saw Wang Lin's figure stepping out of the void, heading directly toward him. The old man hesitated, then gritted his teeth. He threw the calligraphy brush into the distance. The brush landed in the void, creating ripples that pierced through nothingness, seemingly about to escape. After throwing the brush, the old man quickly formed a hand seal. A golden aura erupted around his body, and he shot forward, moving 100 times faster than before. Wang Lin, that immortal brush is a true immortal artifact. Once it falls into nothingness, finding it again will be nearly impossible. The old man's voice echoed from afar. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He reached out and grabbed his storage pouch. The immortal sword and black crescent blade flew out, and Su Ligua transformed from them. Without needing any instruction from Wang Lin, Su Ligua already knew his intent. With a proud shout, he circled the black blade and yelled excitedly, "Little Black, speed up! Speed up! Catch that brush!" The black blade flickered, vanishing along with Su Ligua into the void. Wang Lin stepped forward and used grand teleportation, pursuing the short old man. As the old man fled, he sensed Wang Lin closing in once more. He cried out in despair, his heart screaming, "What does he want? I've thrown away my immortal brush, yet he still won't let me go." In his divine sense, he detected Wang Lin rapidly approaching. The old man gritted his teeth and slapped his storage pouch. A glowing green net appeared in his hands. Compared to the God-binding brush, my control over this immortal binding net is weaker. I've never used this net in battle before. Please, immortal binding net, this time. You must recognize the enemy. I saved you once. It's fate that we meet again, right? Please, don't bind me this time. The short old man mumbled to himself. He was unwilling to use the immortal binding net unless absolutely necessary. In his eyes, this net was too mysterious. Since obtaining it, he had only used it once in private to test its power, but to his surprise, it bound him instead. He was trapped for 3 days. After that, he hesitated for a long time. Reluctantly, he tried again, trembling, and once again, he ended up bound for 3 days. Only the third time, when he used it on a piece of wood for experimentation, did it successfully bind the target. Being captured by the enemy was just a matter of time. Why not take a gamble? If this immortal binding net was in a good mood and bound Wang Lin for 3 days, during which time Wang Lin wouldn't be able to escape, he could easily be captured. With some medicinal aid, perhaps he could refine him into the genuine inferior immortal guard recorded on that mysterious jade slip. Recalling the power of the inferior immortal guard as recorded on the mysterious jade slip, the short old man couldn't help but feel his heart race. The immortal guards he had created were all defective products, far from the records on the jade slip. The slip stated that refining an immortal guard from an infant metamorphosis cultivator had a very slim success rate. For peak ascendant cultivators, the success rate increased slightly, but it was still rare. Only those who reached the late stage of ascendant perfection had a 1 in 10,000 chance. Of course, there were exceptions. Cultivators with their own Tao thoughts also had a 1 in 10,000 chance. With this in mind, the old man grabbed the immortal binding net. In just a few moments, Wang Lin appeared in the void before him. The moment he appeared, the old man shouted, and the immortal binding net flew out of his hand, instantly expanding, as if it were the heavens above and the earth below. Wang Lin had already noticed the net in the old man's hand with his divine sense. Cautiously, he analyzed that this was no ordinary artifact. The old man, after taking it out, didn't attempt to escape, showing his confidence in the net's power. Although Wang Lin didn't know why the old man hadn't used it earlier, his vigilance instantly heightened. The moment he materialized, he activated numerous teleportation techniques beneath his feet, ready to break through to any location at a moment's notice. The immortal binding net merged with the world, and a blue glow flickered in the sky. At the same time, the ground flashed with blue light. These two beams of blue light suddenly shot out, converging towards each other. "Bind him! Bind him! Bind him!" The short old man seemed to go mad, his eyes fixed on the blue light. His mumbling turned into frenzied roars. "Bind him! You must bind him!" His face turned red, his fists clenched, and veins bulged on his forehead. Wang Lin snorted coldly. The blue light was too strange. As he scanned with his divine sense, he couldn't break through it. With his usual caution, he instantly activated his mind, preparing to use the grand teleportation technique to escape. But then, unexpectedly, the blue light from the heavens and earth suddenly sped up, contracting with unimaginable speed. However, its target wasn't Wang Lin. It was the frenzied old man. The old man's face turned pale, and he quickly retreated. "Don't bind me. Don't bind me. Please don't bind me. I saved you. You can't bind me. Don't bind me. I beg you. Immortal binding net, let me go." To Wang Lin's shock, the blue light quickly surrounded the short old man. The old man flickered, emitting firelight in an attempt to escape, but the firelight disappeared the moment it appeared. The old man's face showed deep despair as he cursed. "You traitorous, immortal binding net. You only bind me, never the enemy." Golden light appeared on him, but it vanished immediately. "Your original master must have been killed by you." The bitterness in the old man's heart was beyond words. He unleashed several escape techniques, but despite using over 10 completely different techniques, none of them worked. All he could do was helplessly watch as the blue light engulfed him. When the blue light faded, it transformed into the immortal binding net, glowing faintly with blue light, wrapping the old man tightly. His body couldn't even twitch a finger, and the net sent him directly before Wang Lin. Wang Lin had fought countless battles with enemies throughout his life, but it was the first time in over 700 years that he witnessed an opponent being bound by their own magical artifact, sent directly to him. He believed that even after another 7,000 years, it would be incredibly difficult to encounter such a scene again. With Wang Lin's composure, he couldn't help but be momentarily stunned after seeing this. This clearly showed the astonishment he felt in his heart. A bewildered smile appeared on Wang Lin's face. At the same time, his wariness toward the binding immortal net increased to an unimaginable level. Just moments ago, he had witnessed the old man's every divine ability fail under the net's restraints. The old man, bound by the immortal net and delivered to Wang Lin, felt a sense of suffocation upon seeing Wang Lin's expression. He angrily shouted, "Never seen someone deliver themselves like this? My magical artifact failed. This is impossible." Wang Lin, hearing this, couldn't help but laugh. Such a smile was extremely rare for him. The short old man snorted coldly. At this moment, he had reached his breaking point. His timid nature was being crushed by an overwhelming sense of frustration. He believed he was the most wronged cultivator in the entire cultivation world. He had gained a fortune that would make countless people go mad, but in the end, it was the very artifact he gained from that fortune that led to his downfall. I've just had bad luck this time. Kill or slice, it's up to you," he said, though his heart still trembled with nervousness. Wang Lin's smile faded as he returned to his usual cold demeanor. He grabbed the old man with his right hand, and with a swift motion, both of them vanished from the spot. At the castle, the majority of cultivators had already fled in a hurry, taking advantage of Wang Lin's pursuit. Without the immortal seed, they were immediately free. However, some remained behind, and Sun Ruonan was one of them. She stood there, staring blankly at the sky, a complex expression in her eyes. It seemed she was lost in thought. Wang Lin's figure emerged from the void. He scanned the area coldly, and found only a few cultivators remaining. Upon seeing him, they all respectfully cupped their fists in gratitude, speaking words of thanks. Yet, Sun Ruonan seemed not to notice Wang Lin at all. She remained fixated on the sky, lost in her thoughts. Wang Lin returned a casual salute to the remaining cultivators, then reached out with his left hand to seize Sun Ruonan and flew off rapidly. The remaining cultivators stayed behind to express their gratitude, but as they saw Wang Lin depart, they seemed to awaken from a dream. They exchanged brief goodbyes and dispersed. "Let go of me. Who are you to grab me?" Sun Ruonan snapped as soon as she regained her senses, struggling fiercely as they flew through the air. "Shut up." Wang Lin's voice was as cold as the wind, causing her to tremble involuntarily. But soon, she sneered and said, "I know what you're going to do. You want to use me as a furnace, right? Whatever, if you want to, just go ahead, but let me go afterward." Wang Lin, flying swiftly, glanced at her. His gaze was as indifferent as though he were looking at a corpse. He spoke slowly. "You don't qualify to be my furnace." Wang Lin's speed was so fast that, in the time it took to glance back, they had already crossed tens of thousands of miles. On the ground, Sun Yunshan anxiously stood, surrounded by a dozen or more cultivators. He was troubled, but suddenly, his gaze sharpened as he spotted a long rainbow streaking across the sky, transforming into Wang Lin. Wang Lin was holding a man and a woman in each hand. Sun Yunshan's eyes first fell on the woman, a familiar face. "Ruonan." Sun Yunshan's eyes lit up with joy, but it was immediately replaced by a complex expression. His gaze moved to Wang Lin's right hand. "Ancestor." Seeing this, despite some preparation in his heart, Sun Yunshan was still shaken. Wang Lin landed, flicking his left hand, and threw Sun Ruonan towards Sun Yunshan. At the same time, he grabbed the air with his left hand, summoning the kirin beast with a roar. As soon as it stepped out, the ground shook, and the remaining cultivators, including the azure mark on Sun Yunshan's forehead, trembled violently. They were all sucked in by the kirin's large mouth. The beast seemed overjoyed as it roared and transformed into a soul, which Wang Lin immediately stored into his soul banner. Brother Sun, the restriction has been lifted, and your sister is saved. As for your several uncles, you can go look for them. As for the one from my soul refining tribe, I will release him. Farewell. With that, Wang Lin grabbed the short old man, who claimed to be from the immortal realm, and with a swift motion, he teleported away. He couldn't be bothered with the entanglements between the siblings. In the soul refining tribe's treasure tower, Wang Lin's figure materialized. He casually tossed the short old man to the ground, sat cross-legged, his gaze sharp. He slapped his storage pouch, and 3 sword beams shot out, hovering around the old man. The sword tips radiated a chilling aura that pressed directly against the old man's skin. The 3 swords before him were indeed the sword of the rat, the goat's sword, and the pig's sword. Under Wang Lin's refining, they merged their sword chi and integrated the sword formations from each sword, thus completing the unlocking process. Have you heard of the 3 talents sword formation of sword sovereign Ling Tianhou? Wang Lin's voice was calm, but when it reached the elder's ears, his body trembled. His small eyes quickly glanced sideways at the sword by his side. When you undo this celestial binding net, if you make any move, I will show you the mysteriousness of sword sovereign Ling Tianhou's 3 talents formation. Wang Lin said slowly. He had learned of the 3 talents sword formation when searching for the pig spirit. The 12 swords of the sword sect formed the 3 talents sword formation with a set of 3. If all 12 swords were deployed simultaneously, it could become the renowned Celestial Slaughter 12 Earth Swords formation, something that sword sovereign Ling Tianhou took pride in. Now tell me, who exactly are you? With Wang Lin's life experience, he immediately saw that this person was very timid. His words carried a trace of demonic energy as he said, "If you don't speak, I will use the soul search technique and refine you into a soul that will never enter reincarnation." Before the elder could finish speaking, Wang Lin furrowed his brows, casting a cold glance at him. Slowly, he raised his right hand, and a faint glow flickered in his hand. He no longer wasted words with the elder, and the soul search technique condensed in his hand as he pressed it toward the elder's crown. The elder screamed, but his body was bound by the celestial binding net, making it impossible to dodge. His eyes filled with fear as he hurriedly shouted, "I'll speak. I'll speak." Wang Lin didn't stop. His right hand was about to press down when his expression suddenly shifted. He withdrew his hand and looked outside the tower. He saw a swirling cloud in the black mist above the soul refining tribe, suddenly parting to reveal a passage. A sharp sound of a blade cutting through the air followed. The black crescent blade was as fast as lightning, and in an instant, it rushed toward the tower. Su Ligua fused with the black blade, holding a calligraphy brush in his hand. In a split second, he entered the tower, his face beaming with flattery as he said, "Master, I've retrieved this treasure for you, but it nearly exhausted me. You don't know how fast this thing runs." "Not bad." Wang Lin nodded. His right hand grasped the calligraphy brush, and he immediately felt a strong flow of celestial power within it. Moreover, a sense of pressure also emanated from it. Hearing Wang Lin's praise, Su Ligua smiled broadly. Ever since his betrayal had failed, he had been looking for an opportunity to make up for it, and this time, he had finally seized one. Wang Lin paid no attention to Su Ligua or the black blade. Holding the calligraphy brush, he slowly closed his eyes, circulating celestial energy in his body as he entered the brush. At that moment, a golden glow suddenly radiated from the tip of the brush. As Wang Lin's celestial energy flowed into it, the glow grew brighter until it illuminated the entire tower. From a distance, the tower was bathed in golden light, even emitting a brilliant beam, as if the tower itself was a 1,000-foot golden beam. At this moment, all the members of the soul refining tribe knelt down in reverence, continuously bowing toward the tower. The elder, still bound by the celestial binding net, watched as the brush in Wang Lin's hand emitted such a glaring light. His pupils constricted, and he felt a sour taste rising in his heart. When he had first held this brush, it did have a golden glow, but compared to now, it was like the difference between the sun and a firefly. Even if the golden glow is brighter, so what? I don't believe that without my guidance, he can comprehend how to use this immortal brush. After all, when I first learned of its divine powers, it was only because I had that jade slip. Of course, my own talent also played a big role, the short elder thought to himself, a look of smugness in his eyes. But that smugness quickly turned into stupor, mixed with an incredulous shock. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, and with a wave of the brush, he drew a symbol with a single stroke. This is impossible. It must be that this person's talent is only slightly inferior to mine. So after seeing me perform it once, he immediately learned the symbol. Yes, it must be like that, the short elder thought to himself, but the scene that followed made him scream in disbelief. At that moment, a faint golden glow flickered in Wang Lin's eyes. He waved the brush again, adding another stroke to the first symbol, transforming it into a two-stroke character. In the next moment, Wang Lin did not stop and drew another stroke. Instantly, a three-stroke symbol, shining with the brilliance of the sun, appeared in front of him in the void. As the symbol formed, Wang Lin's celestial energy automatically flowed and merged into the symbol, following his fingers. The three-stroke symbol, visible to Su Ligua and the short elder, immediately gave off a sense of perfection, as if it contained the imprint of the Tao itself. Golden radiance surged in waves, like a vast ocean of light, instantly shining from the runes above, revealing a treasure pagoda. It replaced the previous golden glow at the tip of the brush, enveloping the world. The black mist, formed by the soul banner in the sky, immediately melted away like snowflakes, retreating in a circular motion, revealing the clear blue sky and white clouds. At this moment, Wang Lin, his body glowing with golden light, calmly gazed at the three symbols. The immortal brush in his hand had stopped moving and hung suspended in midair. Dressed in white, his clothes fluttered without wind, his long hair flowed gracefully, giving off a true immortal aura that spread out from him. Holding the immortal brush, he seemed like an immortal sketching a masterpiece. His golden pupils contained the essence of heaven's Tao, a regal and dignified presence emanating from them. Su Ligua stood frozen, his eyes stinging from the golden glow emanating from Wang Lin. Especially the golden light, which made him feel as though he was facing an unbeatable existence, as if, with a single thought from Wang Lin, he would instantly vanish without a trace. This sensation, though he had felt it before, was never as profound as it was at this moment. It struck him like a brand, deeply etched into his heart. The short old man stood dazed, his shock palpable. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Immortal! Immortal Emperor!" Wang Lin took a deep breath. He gently pushed the immortal brush forward, and the runes instantly dissipated, turning into golden sparkles that fused with the world. "Now, tell me, who are you?" The golden light in Wang Lin's eyes gradually dimmed, but his gaze, sharp as lightning, pierced the short old man's eyes, pinning deep into his heart. The heavenly demon voice was unleashed in that moment. Wang Lin's voice carried an otherworldly power that wrapped around the old man's primordial spirit, twisting and curling like strands of silk. Wang Lin had refrained from using the soul search technique because, despite the old man's mid-stage power, his primordial spirit was infused with an immortal energy completely different from the immortal guards. Wang Lin, ever cautious, would never attempt a soul search unless he was fully confident. He would not risk it unless absolutely necessary. "I am a cultivator from the refined feather sect. My name is Huang Yu. I entered this land of demonic spirits years ago because I was pursued by enemies. I didn't dare leave, so I stayed here. It's safe here, as long as you are cautious," the old man mumbled, his eyes hollow. Wang Lin's eyes flickered, and he asked, "Where did you get the immortal seed and these immortal treasures in this land of demonic spirits?" "After coming here, I unknowingly entered an abandoned cave mansion and obtained them there," the old man answered. "What else did you acquire, besides the immortal seed and the immortal brush?" Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with intensity. "I got 2 storage pouches. One has no spiritual imprint, and it contains things like the immortal binding net, as well as a jade slip. The other pouch has a spiritual imprint, but I can't open it. However, that pouch was taken by someone else," the old man murmured. Wang Lin's expression darkened. "Who took the storage pouch?" "A cultivation couple. Fortunately, I kept the 2 storage pouches separate. The one I could open had my spiritual imprint on it. Otherwise, they would have taken everything, the old man replied, his voice growing bitter with hatred as he spoke of the couple. Clearly, this event had struck him deeply. Anyone who had just acquired treasures only to have them snatched away would certainly remember that feeling of loss as if falling from the sky, a memory hard to erase. After asking for a description of the couple, Wang Lin continued, "What did the jade slip record?" It recorded the methods of using various immortal treasures and immortal techniques. There was also a method for creating immortal guard puppets, but the jade slip has a restriction seal, so I couldn't see everything, the old man explained, his voice steady. At this point, under the pressure of Wang Lin's golden light and the entangling heavenly demon voice, the old man had no choice but to tell the truth. Every word was genuine. "Where is this jade slip?" Wang Lin's gaze sharpened. "It's in my storage pouch," the old man answered. "The immortal binding net. How long can it bind someone?" 3 days. Wang Lin flicked his sleeve, and a surge of immortal energy entered the old man's body, sealing his primordial spirit completely. Then, Wang Lin sat down cross-legged, closing his eyes in meditation. The old man, now unconscious, was surrounded by the 3 talents sword formation, which remained active just in case. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the 3rd day, at the hour of Z, the immortal binding net on the old man emitted a faint green glow and fell off, transforming into a small green net the size of a palm. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. With a swift motion, he grabbed the old man's storage pouch, and with his divine sense, scanned it. His brows furrowed, and he extended his right hand, pulling the old man's body toward him. Shaking him lightly, more than 10 storage pouches fell from the old man's body. Wang Lin casually tossed the elder aside. The 3 talents sword formation immediately flew over, tightly locking down the unconscious figure. He scanned each of the storage pouches with his divine sense. Finally, his gaze landed on an inconspicuous one. After picking it up, he wiped off the elder's divine sense and directly explored its contents. Inside the storage pouch, there was nothing but jade slips, various kinds of jade slips. As his divine sense swept across them, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly narrowed. With a slight movement of his mind, a jade slip emitting a cyan glow appeared in his right hand. This jade slip wasn't made of spirit stones or immortal jade. It was something Wang Lin had never seen before. It seemed like neither wood nor stone. Holding it in his hand, a warm aura enveloped his entire body. Wang Lin infused his divine sense into the jade slip. In that instant, his expression changed. A bright glint shot from his eyes, but slowly, that gleam dimmed as his entire mind was overwhelmed by the content recorded within the jade slip. Inside this jade slip, there were methods for using 3 immortal treasures, as well as a complete immortal technique. Qing Shuang, you've just become the immortal lord of the Rain immortal world. This is a gift from your father. These 3 immortal treasures were crafted by me for you. As for the immortal technique, though its rank isn't high, it's quite interesting. I think you'll like it. The immortal binding net, its power is average, but the artifact spirit inside shows signs of awakening. Quite fascinating. I'm sure you'll like it. As for the 3rd treasure, it's meant to complement your Rain immortal sword. This treasure is called the Spirit Offering Sheath. By embedding the immortal sword within it, the sword spirit can be strengthened. This treasure was crafted by me using primordial immortal gold from the immortal cleansing pool. As for the immortal technique, though it's a low-tier technique with ordinary power, it possesses an interesting divine ability. It's called the body immobilization art. I stumbled upon it on a strange ancient planet. Unfortunately, it was incomplete. After I organized it, I managed to restore this immobilization ability. Wang Lin's excitement gradually faded. This jade slip was divided into 3 parts. The first part introduced the 3 immortal treasures and the immortal technique, providing detailed instructions on their usage. This section had no restrictions, and Wang Lin's divine sense could easily scan it. As for the other 2 parts, a chaotic aura surrounded them, making it impossible to fully view the contents. The second part contained the method for crafting the immortal guard. Wang Lin deduced that the short elder had learned about the immortal guard from these fragmented words. This jade slip has a bloodline restriction. Without your blood, It cannot be unlocked. The slip also contained these words. However, this jade slip had been stored for too long. Even the Elder's powerful divine abilities could not resist the passage of time. The first section had been unlocked, the second part was mostly loosened, but the third part remained completely sealed. I can only see two treasures. The spirit offering sheath is missing. These items were given to a woman named Qing Shuang. If her name is Qing Shuang, then her father must be. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He whispered, Immortal Emperor Qing Lin. He studied the jade slip in his hand carefully, his mind in deep thought. According to the tone of the jade slip, Qing Shuang is the immortal lord of the Rain Immortal world. She possesses an artifact called the Rain Immortal Sword. Wang Lin closed his eyes. After a moment, he suddenly opened them again, and a sharp gleam shot out from his gaze. Rain Immortal world. Rain Immortal Sword. Could it be that this world holds such a shocking coincidence? The corpse of Senior Zhou Yi's infatuated daughter. Could she really be the daughter of immortal Emperor Qing Lin? Wang Lin remained silent for a moment. He slapped the storage pouch, and the treasure pagoda that Zhou Yi had given him flew out. Before it could grow, Wang Lin formed a hand seal and pointed. The beautiful, heart-stirring white-robed female corpse slowly floated out. Looking at the corpse, Wang Lin's expression grew more pensive. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes, and with a flick of his right hand, a wind blade shot out, leaving a red mark on the female corpse's right wrist. However, before any blood could appear, the mark immediately vanished, restoring the wrist to its original state. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, but his eyes grew even more intense. With a thought, Ling Tianho's sword qi immediately merged into his two fingers. With a wave, the red mark reappeared on the female corpse's wrist. This time, although it quickly healed, the speed was noticeably slower. A drop of red blood fell from the wound. Wang Lin retracted Ling Tianho's sword qi, reached out with his right hand, and grabbed the blood. With a flick of his sleeve, the female corpse flew back into the treasure pagoda and was stored in his storage pouch. Are you really Qing Shuang? One test will tell. Wang Lin held the blood in his right hand and unhesitatingly pressed it against the jade slip. Blood dripped onto the jade slip, immediately emitting a red mist that gradually blended into it. The slip made a cracking sound as if it were shattering, and a layer of greenish powder peeled off from its surface. A crystal-clear jade slip appeared, tinged with a faint bloodline within the green hue. Wang Lin didn't have time to admire its brilliance. He swept his divine sense over it, took a deep breath, and his eyes revealed deep contemplation. The last two seals on the jade slip were now completely unlocked. She truly is Qing Shuang, Wang Lin sighed softly. He merged his divine sense into the jade slip to examine the other two sections. Time passed slowly. Wang Lin remained immersed in the jade slip, unaware of the passing days. The short elder woke up on the second day after Wang Lin immersed himself in the slip. However, the three-talent sword formation tightly surrounded him, and streams of cold sword energy seeped into his body from his skin, making him too terrified to move. With his cultivation, he could vaguely sense that the mystery of the formation lay not in the sword itself, but in the strange power contained within it. Additionally, Su Ligua stood by, hovering around the elder, occasionally showing a sinister smile as he brandished the little black blade in front of him. Several days later, Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense from the jade slip. He opened his eyes and exhaled deeply. This immortal is even more ruthless than cultivators. The second part of this jade slip records in detail a method for creating puppets called immortal guards. This technique is not meant for immortals, but for cultivators, capturing cultivators to refine them into puppets. If successful, the immortal guard's strength is formidable. To an immortal, immortal guards are not humans, but magical treasures. They are divided into 3 grades: low, middle, and high. According to what was said, a low-grade immortal guard would have the cultivation level of someone in the late stages of the pinnacle of ascension, the limit of the first step of cultivation. As for the middle and high-grade immortal guards, with my current cultivation, I can't yet determine their equivalent stages in the 3 realms of shattered nirvana. As for the third part of this jade slip, it's actually a map. It appears to be the layout of a cave mansion. Wang Lin's gaze flickered as he put away the jade slip and looked at the short elder. "Hand it over," Wang Lin said flatly. The short elder's face twisted in bitterness. "My storage pouch is by your side. What else do you want me to give you?" He cursed inwardly. This Wang is even more despicable than that pair of cultivation partners. Back then, they only stole my storage pouch. But this Wang, he's trying to leave me without an heir, not sparing a single thing. Wang Lin shot a cold glance at the elder and slapped the storage pouch. 10 shards of jade flew out. These jade shards were the items from the 10 immortal guards under the elder's command. The elder's face instantly changed upon seeing the shards. Wang Lin's right hand clenched in the air, causing the 10 jade shards to immediately merge into one. He then grabbed the elder, and with a slap of his right hand, the elder fell to the ground with a strike to his spiritual core, causing his primordial spirit to be violently forced out. As soon as the elder's primordial spirit left his body, Wang Lin exhaled a stream of primordial energy, wrapping it around the elder's soul. He refined it, and soon, strands of immortal aura began to condense within the soul, forming a small shard of jade the size of a finger. Wang Lin collected the shard, and then, with a flick of his hand, the elder's primordial spirit was thrown out, directly tossed into the soul banner, where it was consumed by the black mist in the sky, becoming part of it. As for the elder's physical body, Wang Lin didn't even glance at it. With a flick of his sleeve, it turned to ash and scattered. He left the elder's primordial spirit inside the soul banner, partly because it would be a waste, as it was a real primordial spirit from the late infant metamorphosis stage. The other reason was that Wang Lin had a slight interest in the cave mansion discovered by the elder. However, Wang Lin knew that now wasn't the time to leave. His most important task in the coming decades was to bring his cultivation and magical treasures to their peak in preparation for the 100-year pact with the ancient demon, especially with the 2 newly acquired magical treasures and that low-grade immortal technique. Thinking of the immortal technique, a hint of excitement appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. This was real immortal magic. Throughout his life, aside from the slaughter immortal art, all of his cultivated divine abilities stemmed from low-grade immortal techniques. After all, immortal techniques were extremely rare. Even top-tier figures like Tian Yunzi were desperately seeking them, let alone Wang Lin himself. Immortal techniques were true magic, far stronger than all other divine abilities, the true cutting-edge art. For countless years, the land of demonic spirits had drawn so many cultivators, who didn't hesitate to kill or grovel before the demonic spirits, all in hopes of eventually merging with the ancient demon and being granted immortal techniques. In the Tianyun sect, to obtain an immortal technique, one must hold the title of one of the 7 children of heavenly destiny for many years. But even then, the immortal techniques granted would never be the best. They would only receive an ordinary technique. Body immobilization art. Wang Lin took a deep breath, the incantation of this immortal art from the jade slip emerging in his mind. Slowly, he closed his eyes, fully immersing himself in the technique. Time passed quietly, without a sound. In the blink of an eye, over 20 years had gone by. The war between Heavenly Demon Province and Flame Demon Province had been raging for a long time. The conflict between the 2 sides was intensifying, growing more and more violent. The other provinces, unable to hold back any longer, were preparing to strike. Within Heavenly Demon Province, before launching the war against Flame Demon Province, the ancient demon had already considered this issue. As the other provinces stirred with intent, he sealed off Heavenly Demon City, using his own power. As for the other cities in Heavenly Demon Province, the ancient demon abandoned them all, focusing only on the capital and Dragon Pool, awaiting the promise with Wang Lin. He was not afraid of Wang Lin going back on his word. If Wang Lin did break his promise, the ancient demon would immediately unleash his divine powers, moving heaven and earth, to kill Wang Lin. He was confident that Wang Lin was not short-sighted enough to do that. In response to this situation, the Soul Refining Tribe increased their efforts to expand, rapidly growing in strength. On the battlefield of Flame Demon Province, over the course of these several decades, strange individuals dressed in black began to draw the attention of both sides. These black-clad figures often appeared on the battlefield, absorbing large amounts of souls while also taking away vast quantities of life force. At the same time, Numerous demon soldiers, who had killed countless enemies on the battlefield and performed excellently, saw their strength increase significantly. They were promoted to generals within the armies of both provinces, replacing the vacancies left by those who had fallen in battle.